Hello and welcome to another episode of Random Reviews by EJBJ. Today I'm going to be reviewing Your Honor. It is a 10 episode miniseries that aired on Showtime. I believe the last episode aired in February of this year. And I recently finished watching this show, and I have to say that it was really, really good. I checked out some of the reviews and, of course, Rotten Tomatoes, and it got mixed reviews, and I was actually surprised because I thought it was really well done. Bryan Cranston was the main star, and of course he's one of my favorite actors of all time, especially being in Breaking Bad, which I feel is probably the greatest show that was ever on television. This series centered around Bryan Cranston as a judge, and he actually won a Golden Globe for his performance in this. No, I'm sorry, he was nominated for a Golden Globe. I don't think he won, but it says that Bryan Cranston stars as a New Orleans judge, Michael Desiato, who is forced to confront his own deepest convictions when his son is involved in a hit and run that embroils an organized crime family. Now, I gotta say, this was like watching a Shakespearean play, okay? The tragedy of one's decisions sometimes multiplies the consequences. And here you have, the son of a judge who lost his mother, and it was the anniversary of his mother's death. And so he decided to go to basically the scene of the crime, of where she was actually murdered. And he wanted to leave a picture and I think maybe some flowers or something. But this was not in a nice area of New Orleans. It was more or less in, an area that was filled with crime and, how can I say this? It was an area where it wasn't well cared for or taken care of as maybe other parts of the city. And so when he does this, he realizes that there are people that are watching him, and it's clear that he is not welcomed in that part of town. So he decides to leave, but he circles the block to see if the shrine he leaves for his mom is still there. And the guys that were watching, of course, they destroyed the shrine. And so, of course, this caused, the boy, let me, okay, his name is, in the show, is Adam. Adam is played by Hunter Duhan. And he did a really good job in his portrayal of this boy, 17-year-old boy who You could tell he was in a lot of pain. So as he's trying to get out of this this area of the city that he's not welcome, he ends up he was suffering an asthma attack in the process, because he was, you know, of course he was fearful. And in the process, he reaches for his inhaler, because he drops his inhaler, and he looks down and tries to grab his inhaler, and he ends up hitting a motorcyclist. We see earlier that the motorcyclist is more than likely the son of the crime boss, Jimmy. And let's just say that Jimmy is not he's not a nice guy, okay? And when Adam goes to see if Jimmy's son Rocco is okay, he realizes that more than likely he's not going to make it. And so in that moment, he decides to call the police, but he could barely breathe because he still hadn't found his inhaler. So in the process of trying to contact the police, and he can't breathe, and he realizes that Rocco is probably not going to make it. He tried to give him mouth to mouth, but it just wasn't working. And you know, this was a very, you know, gritty and visceral scene, man. It was really hard to watch, but it was real. And in that moment when he decides to leave Rocco there, he basically caused his own downfall, and possibly the downfall of his father. And so of course we jump ahead, and he eventually confesses to his father, who's a judge, played by Bryan Cranston. And you know, initially he wants to he wants to do the right thing, but you know, once they get down to the police station, and they see that he sees whose father was there to find out the news of who was killed, he was like, oh no, because he knew if they found out, if that family found out that his son was the one who basically killed his son and left him there, then he would be dead. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And so in that moment, he decided that he was going to try to cover up the crime that his son had committed. And in that moment, they both I would say this, you know what, Adam, he wanted to do the right thing. He was going to do the right thing. But Judge Desiato had other plans. Michael said, no, I don't want you to die, man. I don't want you to pay for this crime that you committed. It was an accident, you know. It was an accident. But let me just say that the story in itself definitely had some plot holes. And it had some things that I was just like, okay, this is way too much of a coincidence. The whole fact of, well, not the fact, but him calling a detective that he knew, you know, evidently he was probably going to see if they could help, if she could help his son, and then him contacting, you know, a lawyer that used to be his, a law clerk for him, and evidently he was going to try to get her to represent his son. But once he saw who was in the police station, that all changed. And and next thing you know, he's asking his best friend who's running for mayor to get rid of the car. And, you know, in a sense, you can understand that something like this could happen. It really could happen. And one of the things that I really wanted to emphasize is that the realism of them not processing that scene of the crime of the hit and run is plausible, because for one, it was where it was. This was a crime boss's son. He was in a gang area, and it was assumed that more than likely it was a gang hit. So they're not going to process everything, all the evidence in, you know, do all the forensic stuff. No, they're not doing that. This was in a gang area, and it involved the son of a crime boss. That's like a open and shut case. And more than they got someone, and one of the gang members who actually helped to get rid of the car, or he was attempting to get rid of the car, and he got pulled over because the judge reported the car stolen. That in itself, I don't understand. Why would he report the car stolen? I mean, unless his whole plan was to frame someone else, which is more than likely what he was trying to do. But then, when he realized that this was another teenage boy who was just caught up in something, he decides to get his law clerk, ex-law clerk, now potential love interest to represent this boy. Why? Why would you do this? And you know it's going to end up coming back on you and possibly your son. That's the part that I didn't understand. It just didn't seem plausible to me. But when you take the story as a whole, it shows that one decision in your life can basically cause a number of chain reaction events that will lead to your demise. And, you know, I hate to say this, because I felt like Adam, in a sense, even though what he did was wrong and it was horrible, I felt like there was a part of him that wanted to make amends for what he had done. But the whole thing of him wanting to get to know Rocco's sister, and he started dating this girl that you killed her brother. Like, why would you even put yourself in the orbit of the family of the someone that you killed? That didn't make any sense to me. But it was another wrinkle in this whole Shakespearean tragedy. Maybe he wanted some type of, I don't know, I don't want to say closure, but he wanted some type of, you know, connection to this family that he had caused all this chaos in. And then, you know, the whole thing with Rocco's brother, you know, killing Kofi. Kofi is the gang member, the young guy who stole the car. He didn't steal the car. They asked him, they told him to go get it. You know, I felt like Bryan Cranston's performance was amazing. I also liked Adam, the guy that played Adams. His performance was great. And the lawyer, her name is Carmen Ejago. Her name was Lee Delamere, and she was amazing. And it was a really good story. And evidently this story is originally from an Israeli TV series. And so they basically just remade it as an American tale in the city of New Orleans. But I will say, I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. It definitely wasn't on the level of Breaking Bad, but I would give this series, I'm going to give it a 7.5 because I thought it was good. It could have been much better, but it wasn't bad by far. It was actually really good. So I'm going to give it a 7.5. And I definitely recommend that you watch it. It's called Your Honor. It's available on Showtime on demand, and it's also available on Amazon Prime. So that's all for now. And until we speak again on the next random review by EJBJ. Well, all right.